Hey, I've left my oven running for about 3 hours. Do you think I should cut that off, or do you think it's going to be okay?
I mean, it's covered by insurance, right?
It's got to be insurance.
It's
I
gotta
gotta collect something for a pension for that, maybe.
Well, I mean, we're certainly not going to
This
make
is
it
how we're
with
gonna
this.
make it. This is how we're gonna make it. Like, we're gonna collect that pension, and we're gonna move to
Insurance
Cape
scam.
Hatteras.
I know a guy that can hit me with a bus.
With a bus? You got a bus?
I got a bus.
Oh, we're live. We're live. Oh, sorry, we're live.
We weren't talking about insurance scams.
No, absolutely not.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Low Expectations Podcast 2021.
Trademarked.
Oh. Well, your expectations will most certainly not be met. But with that, I am your host, JC, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Manny.
Thought I told you not to call me that.
What's tough? Well, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was going to say that since this is a brand new podcast, we would like to start by introducing ourselves so that you can get the unwanted pleasure of knowing about us more.
All right, if you don't mind, JC, I would like to introduce myself first.
Go for it.
All right, so as mentioned earlier, I am referred to as Manny. My height stands at about having no chance of succeeding in the real world.
I'm sorry.
And I also spent about $130 on a microphone for this podcast, and I was wondering who I could talk to about getting reimbursed for that.
Let's just save that matter for when we were off the air. So in continuing...
Is this an HR matter, or should I bring this up to the people working for payroll?
Excuse us, listeners. We just need to take a second to talk this matter over in a hushed tone. I'm just going to mute the mic real quick.
Why? Why do you need the mic muted?
We just mute the mic.
Okay, it's muted.
You sure?
Yes.
I can never tell.
Yeah, it's muted.
Okay, well, look, we discussed this pre-show. Today is a very big day for our podcast. We have spent a relatively small amount of time working on this podcast, so I really just need you to get it together and focus. Got it?
You're right, my apologies.
Thank you. Now cut the mic back on.
All right, it's back to recording.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. We were experiencing some technical difficulties. Now it is time to tell you a little bit about myself. I stand about 6'2", a buck 90 something
Generous.
like that. It's quite generous. It's a waste of talent in the NBA. Of course, they don't want me. It's ridiculous.
Playing with the wrong podcast.
Who? I'm an amateur musician, I suppose. I can play quite a few instruments.
Barely.
It's not enough to get me. This is why I am hosting a podcast called Low Expectations.
Podcast
It's because I can't
2021.
get 2021. You're correct. This is why I'm doing that, because I can't get anywhere doing those things. Okay, wasted height, wasted talent. I can't pay the bills.
I'm sure your parents are just so proud of you, aren't they?
They have low expectations for me too.
Can't be any lower than what we have for this podcast.
This is all we have.
I spent my last $130 on this mic.
It was a good investment, but when you think about it, from a business
By the
standpoint...
way, do I go to HR or payroll about getting that money back?
I'm not going to tell you about this again. We are a two-man department.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's right. We don't employ anybody. Who am I going to talk to?
When you think about it...
Do I go to you about getting that money back?
You could.
Are you going to give it back?
No.
Okay. Gonna have to take this up with the boss.
We took a major loss
Starting
this podcast.
We're never making that $130 back.
No, that $130 is gone.
Let's
It
be
is
realistic.
out
That is gone.
the door.
We spent that. We're not getting that back. I got 30 days to return this mic, so...
So let's put out 30 episodes and see where we stand from there.
We're going to be standing in the same place that we were. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Bottom
I'm still
of the
going to
barrel.
be standing 6'2", maybe a buck 93 at this point.
Put on a few pounds since the show started.
Maybe. This is stressful, man.
Stress eating.
Stress eating.
You should see a doctor about that.
I'm not cutting.
I ain't cutting no more.
We ain't cutting.
Oh, you know what that means.
Yeah, it's time for a Woj Bomb. This is a game changer.
So I'm getting word that straight from the Twitter account of the man himself,
GOAT.
the Chicago Bulls have selected Michael Jordan with a 3rd overall pick in the 1984 NBA draft.
The fuck? How was this breaking news? Michael Jordan was drafted like 37 years ago, if I'm doing my math correctly.
You heard the music, didn't you? That makes this a Woj bomb.
You're right. I'm sorry. But since we're already on the basketball topic, let's just talk about the upcoming March Madness.
Yeah, it's pretty mad this March.
It's not exactly what I meant. But nevertheless, who's your pick to win the NCAA tournament this year?
I might go with Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups.
Yeah.
I can't argue with you there.
You just want to move on now?
I mean,
Or do you, let me ask, who's your pick this year?
You want a serious answer? You want a straight answer?
Give me your answer.
I want Iguodala.
Iguodala. Andre Iguodala.
If the laser's pointing to the earth, finger on the trigger, I look down my bench. I want Iguodala. That is my pick to win March Madness.
You know, the more I think about it, that's a pretty good pick. You know, I can't go against Iguodala, but I do have to throw out my dark horse.
Who's that dark horse?
Kevin Harlan. Cinderella story. 16 seed, undersized, never played a minute of college basketball in his life.
You got to think. Look what UMBC did in, what year was that? 2018?
I don't watch the damn thing.
They didn't get past the second round, though.
Didn't get past second round.
I mean, what are you going to do? Throw Kevin
Who'd they
Harlan
beat? Georgetown?
Up against Shaquille O'Neal?
Mm.
Georgetown, Patrick Ewing? That's another good pick. Not Georgetown, even though they're in the tournament. I'm going to have to go with
I think
Patrick
Ernie
Ewing.
Johnson's really going to have to pull this one
Ernie Johnson, top 10 guy.
Heart of a champion, lion, a winner.
Unbelievable.
Knows what it takes to be a winner.
Heart of a champion, it looks busted.
But that's
who,
okay.
Who
He's
doesn't,
almost
who doesn't
70.
love a good Cinderella story, right?
You know, I think John Madden's real dark horse too. John Madden.
You know what? I'm going to have to go with Apollo Anton Ono.
The fuck?
You heard of this man?
Who the fuck is that?
He's got a goatee.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
only
guy.
like 50% of the population of the world.
50% of the population.
You know what? I'll be watching for him this March.
We call this low expectation. I really can't give you that much information on Apollo Anton Ono, other than he's some sort of Olympian, I think.
Olympian.
Not Olympian. X Games, I think. A lot of people
X-Games.
associate him.
Yes.
People associate him with Shaun White, I think.
Shaun White,
yeah. Professional skateboarder.
Professional skater. I think Shaun White's the skier.
Ski.
You're thinking of Tony Hawk.
No, that's not Tony Hawk. That's another good pick too, sleeper.
Mike Bibby, he getting buff. He bulking up for this tournament.
I tell you what, man, I wouldn't want to fight Mike Bibby.
I mean, he looks scary.
He does look scary, and
he's like what, 6'2", 290.
He's got a whole dollar on me. We're about the same size.
Got a whole buck on you.
He's got a whole buck on me, man.
And he's about the same height.
Which is exactly why I'm picking me over Mike Bibby. Heart of a champion.
He's going to knock your ass out in about 3 seconds.
I can't argue with those facts. Okay?
You're going to be sleeping, staring up at the ceiling.
I'll put up a good fight.
Are you sure about that?
I'll do everything that I can.
Just because you do everything you can doesn't mean you're going to put up a good fight.
Well, I have Iguodala on my side. Okay?
You know what? You're right. Laser pointing at the earth. I want Iguodala.
Finger on the trigger. Give me Iguodala.
Steph Curry? No.
No. Are you crazy?
Statistically the greatest three-point shooter of all time?
Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers of all time? LeBron? One of the best overall players?
LeBum?
No. We don't want him.
We want Iguodala.
Iguodala. Give me Ed Davis.
Oh, Big Ed.
Give me.
Big fucking Ed.
Give me Tony Bradley.
Oh, hell.
I feel like we're hating on Tony Bradley a little bit. He had a good game the other day, I think.
A good game the other day? How many good games he had in his career?
He is a glass
I can count
cleaner.
him on one finger.
You know what? Let's just move on.
What you want to talk about next?
I mean, I don't know. I think with that, it's about time to wrap this thing up.
We get into the end of it.
We get into the end.
We've reached our 10-minute maximum.
That's all the production that you can really ask for.
I mean, we're not that funny. We're not that funny of people. We can't just keep coming up with this fucking piss poor comedy.
That's all you can get. Look.
You know, let's be generous. Let's give them one more segment.
One more segment?
One more segment.
I mean, 2 college kids can only do but so much. You've got to go in a few hours and save some lives.
I've got to go save some lives at the home. I've got to go make ends.
You got to go making ends, crushing some holes.
I got to go crush holes and make ends.
You got to go bring the bag back, support your family, support your wife.
I don't have a wife.
Oh.
I don't have kids.
Oh.
I don't have a mortgage.
Oh.
I barely...
Go get your bag, sis.
You know what? Let's just give him the last segment and be done with this.
Let's give him one more.
All right, so let's talk about how shit this episode was.
Look, it's not called Low Expectations for a reason. I want to make that perfectly clear.
If you had high expectations, this is really your own fault. You can't blame us.
You gotta look at the facts here.
We told you what it was. I mean, the title is literally Low Expectations Podcast.
You can't charge us or try to accuse us for, material or false misrepresentation.
Yeah, that's like putting your hand in an alligator's mouth, and then when it bites it off, you get mad at the alligator.
That's right. Look,
it's your own fault.
We warned you. We didn't have to put any sort of disclaimer because the disclaimer is already embedded within the title of this podcast.
This is free speech. We didn't even have to tell you how low of the expectations we had for this podcast.
But, here's an analogy for it. When you think about a TV show, pretty much anyone can, assume that the worst episode or one of the, least watched or least constructed or least organized episodes is probably the pilot. So that's the same situation that we're in here.
Yeah, because what happens when they get turbulence? They fly into the air. What if a duck hits the engine?
Then 9/11 happens. Planes go down. Planes go down for no reason. That's why it's ridiculously expensive to insure pilots. Planes.
I mean,
those things go down.
I mean, the Office has a nice pilot.
It's pretty good.
What's his name? Terry Crews.
Shout out Terry Creech. The GOAT.
Had to bring up the GOAT in the podcast.
Hey, boys, someone loves me back there.
All right, y'all go get some water before I get good pissed.
We got to go take a big dump. Just some classic lines from the GOAT himself.
From the GOAT, his name was Chief. If somehow you listen to this, shout out. You cauliflower ear fuck.
We know you're listening. We know you are. Shout out Coach Creech.
Love you, man. I was just making a joke about your cauliflower ears. They weren't even that noticeable. That fucking garden you had growing on your head.
Killer dumpster.
Okay. Now we're getting a little bit excessive.
When he used to back that thing up against me, trying to box me out.
Trying to box you out.
Trying to get me out of the paint.
I got a little hard.
It's
sorry. Producer's telling me I can't say that. I got a little bit stimulated.
I'm telling not hard. He used to back that thing up.
Killer caboose.
Just the thought of it now is giving me a semi.
I'm rocking a halfy here.
Get a little bit of a chub, all right?
Let's reel it in. We gotta finish this podcast off on a high note.
I think think this last minute was actually a pretty solid.
Are you sure about that?
It was solid content.
We talked about our high school basketball coach's ass. How many podcasts talk about their high school basketball coach's ass?
That's the beauty about a podcast. It just
the beauty
anywhere.
Or the ugliness. You know what? Again, back to the disclaimer. We told you what to expect.
This is exactly what you're getting. This is what you will always get.
And if you've stuck around to watch this long of the video, why?
What are you doing get a life?
You spent almost 15 minutes of your time.
What's that Michael Jordan thing? Hi.
Stop it. Get some help.
Get some help.
You spent almost 15 minutes of your time listening to two Neanderthals.
We're going to link that video into that commercial into the description.
I don't know how to do that. Don't make promises I can't keep.
Oh, that led me to my next point. I was just going to say we're just kidding. Oh. Again, low expectations.
Did you really expect us to put that in the description? I don't even know what the fuck a description is.
If you take a good look at our logo, there's a spectrum, okay? And it's a measure of IQ and something else. I don't even know.
IQ and expectations.
IQ and expectations, yeah. Obviously, the top or right quadrant is where you want to be. We are not in that quadrant.
We're in the opposite end of that quadrant.
We are in the lower left quadrant.
Left. Completely bass backwards. Could not be further away from it.
It's just absolutely bungled.
I understand that there's a little corner on the picture that's touching with the high expectations, but don't let that fool you.
Touching doesn't mean we have crossed into that spectrum, people. We just want to make that extremely clear.
We cannot express this enough. Stop listening and get some help. We have continued to ramble on now for 15 minutes, and you are still here. If you're here.
Are you still here?
Hello? They're not saying anything.
Shout out Terry Creech. We know you're listening.
And with that, I think that's a great place to go ahead and end this pilot, or the first episode of the Low Expectations Podcast 2021, trademarked. And so with that, we take a look at the clock. Oh, would you look at the time? It says that you've been listening to this for too damn long.
Okay, so basically the clock reveals that you have been listening to this podcast for much longer than the CDC recommends. There's
the Center for Dick Cheese.
Wow. The Center for Dick Cheese recommends listening to this podcast for no longer than 15 minutes. It appears that you have exceeded this limit by a long shot.
You made a fucky wucky. But with that, from myself and my co-host, thanks for listening, and we sincerely apologize for wasting your time. And remember, if your expectations are realistic for this podcast, you'll probably only be disappointed about half the time.
So disappointed.